You probably wouldn't expect that something as simple as a food, a single common ingredient, could dramatically improve muscle strength in your legs within just 12 hours. And yet, that's exactly what the research shows. In a groundbreaking study published in the Journal of Clinical Nutrition, older adults who consume just one serving of nitrate-rich vegetables, like beetroot, saw measurable improvements in lower limb strength and muscle torque in less than half a day. Not months of training, not high-tech supplements, just one food in one meal. Why does this matter? Because leg strength isn't just about athletic performance. It's a foundation for physical autonomy, balance, longevity, and even brain health. When leg strength declines, so does mobility. And when mobility declines, cognitive performance often follows, a phenomenon well documented in neuroscience known as the mobility-cognition link. But here's where it gets even more interesting. This isn't just about beets. It's about what happens in your brain and blood vessels when you consume dietary nitrates. It's about how one biological pathway, the nitric oxide pathway, can enhance blood flow, increase oxygen delivery to muscle tissue, and potentially change the way your body generates force, especially during times of fatigue. And that's not just helpful for older adults. If you've ever felt your legs give out on a hike, struggled through a leg workout, or simply noticed your lower body endurance dropping after a long day, this science applies to you. So in this episode, we're going to dive deep into the one food that can enhance leg strength in just 12 hours, the nitric oxide mechanism that makes it work, and how it affects both muscle and brain performance, the real science behind beets, blood flow, and endurance, a daily timing protocol to maximize results, how to layer this with training or walking for even faster improvements, and simple tools anyone can use, whether you're 25 or 75, to turn this insight into long-term leg power, mobility, and energy. Let's decode what's happening in your body and how to use this science today. The nitrate effect, how one serving of beets can boost muscle strength in 12 hours. You might think that strength is built only in the gym, through heavy reps, progressive overload, and long-term training. That's mostly true. But there's a parallel path that's often overlooked. How your biochemistry can rapidly unlock more muscular output without adding a single pound to the bar. Let's start with a remarkable study from the University of Exeter, published in the Journal of Gerontology Medical Sciences. In this trial, researchers gave older adults, individuals in their 60s and 70s, a single dose of beetroot juice, roughly 140 milliliters. This small shot of juice contained a concentrated amount of dietary nitrate, naturally found in root vegetables like beets. 12 hours later, the participants were tested for muscle function. The results? A significant increase in muscle power and speed of contraction in the lower limbs, particularly during high-velocity movements like rising from a chair or climbing stairs. To be clear, this was not a training intervention. There was no workout involved. It was purely nutritional. And yet, muscle performance improved almost immediately. Why? It all comes down to a molecule called nitric oxide. When you consume nitrate-rich foods, your body converts those nitrates into nitric oxide, a signaling molecule that dilates blood vessels, improves circulation, and enhances the delivery of oxygen and nutrients to muscle tissue. In simple terms, nitric oxide is like widening the highways your blood travels on. When those highways open up, oxygen reaches your working muscles faster. The result? Greater muscle efficiency, reduced fatigue, and more force output, especially in large, oxygen-hungry muscles like those in your legs. Think about it this way. Your quadriceps, glutes, and hamstrings are some of the most metabolically demanding muscles in your body. They require an immense amount of oxygen during movement. When you increase blood flow with dietary nitrates, you're supercharging the supply lines to those muscles, and they respond almost immediately. This effect isn't just theoretical, it's measurable. In the Exeter study, muscle torque, a measure of rotational strength, increased by over 10% in some participants. That's a massive difference, especially for aging populations where even small gains in strength translate to significant improvements in mobility and fall prevention. But this isn't limited to older adults. Other studies, including one published in the Journal of Applied Physiology, show similar benefits in younger populations, from recreational athletes to trained cyclists. In each case, the common denominator was increased nitric oxide availability from dietary nitrates, leading to improved muscular efficiency and endurance. Here's a simple tool to apply. Try consuming 1 serving of nitrate-rich vegetables, such as a 1/2 cup of cooked beets, 1 cup of spinach, or a small glass of beetroot juice, about 2-3 hours before a period of physical activity. This could be a walk, leg workout, or even just a busy day that requires a lot of standing or moving. Research shows that nitric oxide levels tend to peak 2-3 hours after ingestion. Now, a quick word of caution. If you use antibacterial mouthwash, you might want to pause. Strange as it sounds, the conversion of nitrate to nitric oxide begins in your mouth, and antibacterial rinses can kill off the exact oral bacterial responsible for starting that conversion process. So if you're optimizing for nitric oxide, skip the mouthwash that day. Have you ever felt like your legs were dragging by mid-afternoon? Like even a short flight of stairs felt harder than it should? That may not be just fatigue. It may be an opportunity to optimize blood flow. By understanding and using the nitrate effect, you're not just improving strength, you're enhancing your body's ability to deliver energy efficiently. And that gives you a real edge. Nitric oxide, the molecule of blood flow, endurance, and brain performance. So what exactly is nitric oxide, and why does it seem to touch everything from muscle strength to mental clarity? Nitric oxide, or NO, is a gas that your body produces naturally. It acts as a signaling molecule, which means it helps your cells communicate. But what makes nitric oxide particularly powerful is its role as a vasodilator, a compound that tells your blood vessels to relax and widen. When your blood vessels dilate, circulation improves, oxygen flows more freely, nutrients are delivered faster, waste products like carbon dioxide and lactic acid are cleared more efficiently. And this doesn't just affect your muscles, it affects your brain, your heart, and even your ability to focus and recover. Here's what the research shows. In a 2017 study published in Nitric Oxide Biology and Chemistry, researchers found that higher levels of circulating nitric oxide correlated with improved executive function and working memory in older adults. The explanation? Better blood flow to the prefrontal cortex, the brain region responsible for decision-making, impulse control, and goal-directed behavior. In other words, what helps your legs move better may also help your brain think better. And this is where things get interesting from a performance standpoint. When you consume dietary nitrates, like those found in beets, spinach, arugula, or Swiss chard, you're supporting a whole body upgrade. Muscles fire more efficiently, cognitive fog clears, even cardiovascular function improves. Think of nitric oxide like the oil in an engine. Without it, the system gets sluggish, stiff, inefficient. With it, the engine hums, smooth, responsive, powerful. Now here's a quick protocol you can use. Stack your nitrate intake with light movement about 2-3 hours later. Go for a walk, do mobility work, or take a standing break if you're at a desk. This gentle physical activation increases shear stress, the friction of blood moving across vessel walls, which stimulates your endothelial cells to produce even more nitric oxide. The result? A compounding effect that enhances both vascular function and muscular performance. Here's something many people don't realize. Your ability to generate nitric oxide declines with age. That means the older you get, the more important it becomes to intentionally support this pathway through your nutrition, your movement, and even your oral microbiome, which, as we mentioned earlier, plays a key role in nitric metabolism. And if you're an athlete or high performer, the benefits of optimizing nitric oxide go beyond strength. Several meta-analyses, including one in sports medicine, show nitric supplementation can significantly improve time to exhaustion, aerobic efficiency, and recovery times across a range of endurance sports. So whether you're lifting weights, hiking, working long hours, or just trying to stay sharp, nitric oxide isn't just helping you go longer, it's helping you go smarter. If insights like this are helping you unlock your full potential, body and brain, I invite you to subscribe. This channel is here to translate cutting-edge science into tools you can use every day. And if you're someone who wants to live stronger, move better, and think more clearly, you're in the right place. Let's keep going. Why your legs fatigue faster than your arms and what beets can do about it. Have you ever noticed how your legs seem to fatigue more quickly than your arms, especially during long walks, hikes, or standing for extended periods? And there's a physiological reason for this. And understanding it unlocks yet another layer of why nitrate-rich foods like beets are such powerful tools for your performance and vitality. Let's start with the basic structure of your muscles. Your legs are composed of large postural muscle groups: quadriceps, glutes, hamstrings, calves. These are some of the most oxygen-hungry tissues in your body. Why? Because they contain a higher proportion of type 1, slow twitch, and type 2A, fast oxidative muscle fibers, which are built for endurance and rely heavily on aerobic metabolism, meaning they need consistent oxygen delivery to function well. In contrast, your arms, while still important, are generally smaller in mass and not as reliant on sustained oxygen flow during most daily activities. Here's what this means practically. Your legs require more oxygen per contraction and more blood flow to sustain performance. When that supply drops due to fatigue, aging, or vascular stiffness, you feel it. Your stride shortens, your balance feels off. Tasks that were once easy become noticeably harder. This is where dietary nitrates come in. By increasing the availability of nitric oxide, you're improving blood flow specifically to those large working muscles. In fact, studies using near-infrared spectroscopy, NORS, a non-invasive way to monitor muscle oxygenation, show that nitrate supplementation significantly enhances oxygen delivery and utilization in the quadriceps during exercise, particularly in hypoxic, low oxygen conditions. In other words, when the legs are under stress, beets can help them work better, longer. Let's make this even more relatable. Imagine you're halfway through a long hike. Normally, your legs start to feel heavy, your strides shortened, and every uphill step starts to burn. But when your nitric oxide levels are optimized, what's happening inside your body is different. Your arteries are wider, your capillaries are delivering oxygen faster, lactic acid is cleared more efficiently, and as a result, your muscles fatigue more slowly and recover more quickly. That's not just performance, that's resilience. Here's a simple framework to test this yourself. Try this before and after protocol. On day 1, go for a 20-30 minute brisk walk without changing your routine. On day 2, consume a serving of nitrate-rich vegetables 2-3 hours beforehand, beetroot juice, roasted beets, or a spinach arugula salad, and repeat the walk. Compare your perceived exertion. How do your legs feel at minute 20? Are you moving faster? Is your breathing more controlled? Many people notice a tangible difference, not just in energy output, but in how fresh they feel afterward. And that has a powerful psychological effect. When your legs feel strong, your confidence and motivation go up too. Because leg fatigue isn't just a nuisance. Over time, it erodes consistency. It makes you less likely to train, to walk, to explore. And that's when decline begins, not just physically, but neurologically. Studies from the NIH have shown a close correlation between lower limb strength and cognitive performance in aging populations. Why? Because walking and balance engage brain regions responsible for coordination, spatial awareness, and memory. The less we move, the less we stimulate those circuits. That's why this tool matters so much. Beets aren't a magic pill, but they are a powerful leverage point, one that works with your physiology, not against it, to help you move, think, and age better. The timing protocol, when to eat for maximum muscle power. It's one thing to know what to eat, but for physiology to work in your favor, timing is everything. Let's look at what happens when you consume nitrate-rich foods like beets. After ingestion, the nitrates travel through your digestive system and are absorbed into your bloodstream. From there, a portion of them are concentrated in your salivary glands. When you eat, talk, or even breathe through your nose, these nitrates interact with oral bacteria, which convert them into nitrates. Once you swallow those, your stomach, under the right pH conditions, converts them into nitric oxide, the molecule that drives improved blood flow and muscle function. Here's the key detail. This process doesn't happen instantly. Most studies show that nitric oxide levels peak approximately 2 to 3 hours after consuming dietary nitrates and then gradually decline over the next 6 to 9 hours. So if your goal is to boost performance for a workout, a hike, a cognitively demanding day, or just staying energized through a long afternoon, then timing your nitrate intake becomes a strategic move. Here's a simple protocol you can apply. Eat or drink your nitrate-rich food about 2.5 hours before peak activity. For example, if you train at 5 p.m., consume a nitrate source around 2:30 p.m. Good options include 1 cup of cooked beets, a small glass of beetroot juice, about 140 to 150 mils, or a generous spinach/arugula salad. What's happening in your body during that window is a cascade. Nitric oxide is ramping up, blood vessels are expanding, and muscle oxygenation is improving, all without you needing to do anything different with your training or movement. If you're someone who tends to hit an energy dip mid-afternoon, this could be the upgrade you've been missing. In fact, research from the Journal of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics found that participants who timed nitrate intake before exercise had a significant increase in time to fatigue and a decrease in perceived exertion compared to those who didn't. That means you can push longer and it feels easier while doing it. And it's not just about workouts. Improved circulation means better nutrient delivery to the brain, more energy for decision making, and a steadier emotional baseline, especially when physical and mental stress overlap. So if you've ever had that moment, maybe during a long workday or an intense session at the gym, when your mind wants to keep going, but your body starts shutting down, that may be a nitric oxide timing problem, not just a willpower issue. Stack this protocol with light movement and hydration, and you'll likely notice the difference in a single day. And if this kind of science-backed physiology-first insight resonates with you, consider subscribing. This channel is about more than health hacks. It's about understanding how your body and brain actually work and giving you tools to live stronger, longer, and more intelligently. If you're here, it's because you're someone who values depth, not hype. And you're not alone. Let's keep building this together. Beets plus movement, the compounding effect on strength, mobility, and longevity. There's a powerful principle in biology. When you pair the right input with the right stimulus, the benefits don't just add up, they multiply. That's exactly what happens when you combine nitrate-rich foods with movement. We've talked about how dietary nitrates increase nitric oxide, which in turn improves blood flow and muscle oxygenation. But what many people don't realize is that movement itself also stimulates nitric oxide production through a process known as shear stress. Here's how it works. When you engage in rhythmic, moderate intensity movement, walking, cycling, mobility work, the blood moving through your arteries creates friction against the vessel walls. This friction, or shear force, is detected by specialized cells lining your blood vessels called endothelial cells. And those cells respond by releasing more nitric oxide. So when you consume beets or spinach and then move, You're essentially doubling down on your body's natural vascular signaling. You're not just feeding the system, you're turning it on. In real terms, here's what this looks like. You have your beet salad or juice around 2 p.m. On 4:30 or 5, you go for a brisk 30-minute walk or hit the gym. By then, nitric oxide is peaking in your blood and movement is amplifying its effects. The result? Your blood vessels are primed, your muscles are oxygenated, and the training adaptation is deeper. A 2015 study in the Journal of Applied Physiology found that combining nitric oxide supplementation with aerobic exercise enhanced mitochondrial efficiency in muscle tissue. That means your muscles get more work done with less oxygen, a hallmark of elite-level endurance and recovery. But this isn't just about performance, it's also about preservation. Maintaining lower body strength and mobility is one of the strongest predictors of longevity and cognitive health. Longitudinal studies have shown that leg strength correlates with reduced risk of falls, improved balance, and even greater brain volume in aging adults. Researchers believe this is due in part to better vascular health and neuroplasticity driven by movement. So when you eat beets and then move, even if it's just a 15-minute walk, you're engaging a system that supports not just stronger legs, but a sharper, more resilient brain. This is the compounding effect. Nitrates support blood flow, movement triggers nitric oxide release. Together, they improve vascular health, and that improved blood flow benefits your heart, your muscles, and your brain long term. There's something empowering about knowing you can feel a benefit in a matter of hours, but also build a biological foundation that protects you for decades. And it doesn't have to be complicated. A simple stack, nitrates, light to moderate movement, hydration, that alone can shift your physiology towards strength, flexibility, and brain longevity. Because health isn't just about managing decline, it's about building systems that adapt and regenerate. And few things do that as efficiently as the beat and movement duo. Your mouth, your microbiome, and the hidden link to strength. When we talk about strength, endurance, or even cardiovascular health, we usually think about muscles, lungs, and diet, but there's one overlooked system that could be silently limiting your performance, your mouth. More specifically, the community of microbes living on your tongue and in your saliva, known as the oral microbiome. Here's why that matters. As we discussed earlier, dietary nitrates, like those found in beets, are converted into nitrites in the mouth by specific bacteria. These nitrites are then swallowed and ultimately turned into nitric oxide, the molecule that boosts blood flow, lowers blood pressure, and enhances muscular efficiency. But here's the catch. If your oral microbiome is disrupted, this entire pathway breaks down. Studies have shown that antibacterial mouthwash, especially those containing chlorhexidine or cetylpyridinium chloride, can significantly reduce nitric oxide production by wiping out the beneficial bacteria responsible for this conversion. A 2019 study in the journal Free Radical Biology and Medicine found that using antiseptic mouthwash just twice a day blunted the blood pressure lowering effects of exercise by nearly 60%. The mechanism? Suppressed nitric oxide generation due to a disrupted oral microbiome. So even if you're eating beets, if you're nuking your mouth bacteria each morning and night, you might be cutting off the benefits before they start. This is a subtle but powerful insight, and it speaks to a broader truth in human biology. Systems are connected. What happens in your mouth affects your muscles. What you eat shapes your blood vessels, and how you move changes your brain. So what's the actionable protocol here? Limit or eliminate antiseptic mouthwash, especially in the hours before and after nitrate-rich meals. Brush and floss regularly, but allow your oral microbiome to thrive. Consider probiotic lozenges or oral microbiome supporting toothpaste. Use tongue scraping. This helps reduce unwanted. Chew your greens well. Longer oral contact time increases nitrate conversion before digestion even begins. Have you ever had a day where your workout felt inexplicably harder, even though you slept well, ate right, and followed your plan? This could be one of those hidden variables. And there's something deeply empowering about this. You're not broken. You don't lack willpower. Sometimes the smallest shifts, like preserving the bacteria in your mouth, unlock the biggest performance changes. So next time you eat your beets, think twice before reaching for antiseptic rinse. Because strength doesn't just start in the gym. It starts in the gut, the mouth, the breath, in the invisible systems that quietly shape how we perform. The 12-hour strength lever hiding in your fridge. Let's take a breath and zoom out. We started this journey with a question. Can one food eaten at the right time actually improve leg strength in just 12 hours? And the science says yes, if you understand how to use it. This isn't magic. It's not a gimmick. It's physiology. And when you work with your body's systems instead of against them, you gain leverage. Let's recap what we now know. Dietary nitrates found in beets and leafy greens are converted into nitric oxide, a molecule that increases blood flow, muscle oxygenation, and endurance. This process peaks 2 to 3 hours after ingestion, making timing critical if you want to see rapid performance benefits. Your legs fatigue faster than your arms because they're larger, more oxygen-demanding muscles. Enhanced blood flow helps offset that imbalance. Pairing nitrate intake with movement, even a simple walk, compounds the benefits through nitric oxide's synergistic release. And surprisingly, your oral microbiome is a key gatekeeper. Disrupt it with mouthwash, and you may block the entire nitric oxide pathway. So when you hear, eat this one food and regain leg strength in 12 hours, it's not hype. It's a blueprint backed by decades of vascular biology, exercise physiology, and neurocardiovascular science. But here's the deeper truth. This isn't just about legs or beets or nitric oxide. It's about momentum, the kind you can feel again in your muscles, your focus, your drive. Because when your body starts working with you instead of against you, motivation gets easier, movement becomes enjoyable, mental fog lifts, and your confidence begins to rise, not just because you push through, but because you finally aligned with how your biology wants to work. So here's your challenge. Try the protocol today. Eat 1 cup of roasted beets or drink a small glass of beetroot juice. Wait 2-3 hours, then go for a brisk walk or hit a light workout. Skip the antiseptic mouthwash. Notice how your legs feel. And tomorrow, try it again. That single choice may spark a shift, not just in your legs, but in your momentum. Because the body remembers when it's supported. And over time, those 12-hour boosts add up to a completely different baseline of strength, energy, and resilience. If this message landed for you, if you learned something that you'll actually apply, I'd love for you to like this video, drop a comment, and subscribe, not because of an algorithm, but because this community is growing around evidence-based tools that work, tools that help us think more clearly, move more powerfully, and live with greater purpose. So if you're ready to build that kind of life, this is your space. Welcome to the team.